Welcome, Line Sciences, to another lesson for today. Today we're going to concentrate on molecules of life. Now, some of you have no idea what it is, and I'm going to tell you it's a really, really important section. If you were going to build a building, this would be the foundation. So a lot of the work that you are going to do after this, you're going to have to keep your notes and keep going back and remember all the little sections that we are going to do when it comes to molecules of life or biochemistry, what makes us live. Okay, now I want to pose a question for you. Have you ever thought about why you need to eat food and why you need to drink water? And lots of you say, no, I need it because I need energy, because I need to live. But what it boils down to very, very simply is you are made up of something. And I want to show you this diagram. Okay, the concept map that we're going to look at, I'm going to just show you over here. Right, when we look at molecules of life, you're going to look a lot about terminology. You're going to hear things that you might not necessarily know the words for, right? But I want you, when you're thinking of molecules of life, I want you to break it down as, why do I need to eat these foods? Why do I need to build my body, to make my body work very, very well? Now, the concepts that we're going to look at today, if we look at the concept map, we're going to learn, all right, the terminology about inorganic molecules, all right, and organic molecules. Now, they are different. They have very similar differences. And believe it or not, you eat these every single day. You eat food or you drink water, and you are taking these into your body all of the time. But you just never know the science behind it, the chemistry behind it. Why am I going to eat it? Okay, now if I have a look at this today, if I say words like water, oh, there's my pen. We go to the pen over here. Let's use a different color. If I say water and I say minerals, and when I say minerals, I say calcium, I say sodium, I say potassium. Maybe some of you take little vitamins or minerals, those kind of things. Those are the things that we're going to talk about today. All right, now where do they fit into things? I've got a list here of keywords that are on the board, but I'm not going to go through each as we go along. You'll see I'm going to mention the definition when we get to each of the sections. So if you want to go back or you check in the notes, just make sure that you go through the list, right, and that you then understand each of the terms that we are going to give. So I'm not going to go through each one now because they might not make sense to you at this particular time. Okay, so what are we looking for? Okay, guys, so if we have a look at the picture at the top over here, this is a cell. And some of you might have heard of what a cell is, some of you not, all right? So I've just given you a diagram of what a cell is. Now, what a cell is, you're going to probably do it in the next segment. A cell, all living things are made up of cells. So if it was to build a house, they would be the brick, right? So we just have a brick, unicellular, all right, unicellular, only one cell, all right, or multicellular. Well, don't worry about the terminology here, multicellular, all right. Now, what that means is when I build something, I need things to build, right? So the food that I eat is ultimately going to build that cell. And if the cell makes up my body, all right, the food that I eat builds me properly and also makes sure that I function properly, all right? I want it to look good and I want it to do good, right? It must be able to do things properly and it must be able to look, all right, it must do the right things. Okay, so guys, when we look at these molecules, that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at the food that I eat, what am I going to use it for? Okay, now, two concepts that we're going to look at. Today's lesson, we're going to look at the concept of inorganic molecules. Those are molecules, all right, that we usually say are are non-living. They're really small, they're very, very simple, they're called it's non-living, all right? And it's those kind of things that we usually use the term nutrients or minerals. Okay, the next ones after this, we're going to look at what an organic compound is, but today we're just going to look at what an inorganic compound is. All right, now if you have a look at the board, an inorganic compound, already you should have a look, right, is water, and it's going to be minerals. And as I said to you, water and minerals, small things, small elements, not big compounds, simple things that our body needs almost on a continuous basis for us to build and to function properly. Okay, so guys, the organic compounds that we're going to look at later, they are much bigger. They are made up of so many more things, and a lot of you will recognize when I say proteins, carbohydrates, lipids or fats, vitamins, right, or your DNA and your RNA. So today we're just going to concentrate, all right, on the inorganic molecule. Now, the most important, and I keep saying important, inorganic molecule in your body is this: water. Water. Water makes up almost 64% of the volume in your body, all right? And why is it most important? Because nearly everything needs to happen in a watery medium. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Now, I want you to think about things. I'm going to put a list up on the board here, right? And I want you to think. I'm not going to go in the order, all right? I'm going to just go in different orders. Now, I want you to think about something, all right? Lots of you don't like water, plain water, right? Maybe you like Oros, or maybe lots of you like Coca-Cola, or those kind of things, all right? What are they? They're something dissolved in water. I don't think you would really like it if you were drinking water and all these clumps and lumps and hard things were in it all the time. You want it to be nice and smooth. You want all your Oros to dissolve, and you want to drink it nicely. And it's exactly the same as your body, all right? What do you want? You want to take something in, and you want it to dissolve in there so that your body can keep it and you can hold it. Right, so if we have water, we make up most of our body is water, we can store a lot of that stuff, right? Lots of small stuff dissolved in there. Okay, next thing I want you to understand, think about transport. Transport, blood. So I'm sure some of you have cut yourself before. What happens if the blood, it runs out, doesn't it? That shows me that it's a liquid, it's water. Now, if my blood wasn't water, right, it wouldn't be able to travel through my body. It wouldn't be able to transport. Things will get stuck, and if things get stuck, then what could happen? I could get a blood clot, I could get sick, maybe I could even die. All right, so transport, where I want water, what am I going to get it? Okay, supporting cells. Now, lots of you, I want you to think of a plant, all right? Now, if you cut open a plant, you're not going to find a skeleton. You're not going to find bones. So how does a plant stay upright? Water. So if I fill a cell with water, this concept of a cell, if I fill it up, imagine taking a water balloon, all right? You take a balloon, you fill it with water, and what does the balloon do? It expands, all right? And it keeps its shape. Exactly the same with plants. Plants need water to keep those cells, all right, we call the word turgid, we'll look at it later, and to keep them nice and big, and obviously to be able to, all right, get those plants to stay upright. Okay, excretion, right, what I'm doing a lot of at the moment, I'm sweating, all right? So when you sweat, you want to get rid of it in the water form. Why? Why water? Because when it's in water form, that hot air evaporates and it cools me down. I want you to think when you go to the toilet, all right? When you get to the toilet and you know you desperately need to wee, right? What do? The wee's going to come out, urine, as water, right? It's easy to flush my body. It's easy to get the waste away. Water is much more easy, or an easier way of getting rid of things. Okay, then the last thing, a chemical reaction. Right, now what do we mean by that is chemical reactions are how my body works. So say, for example, I take a bite of bread and I start chewing that bread. What's in my mouth? It's water, it's saliva. But what's in that saliva? It's little enzymes that start to break down the bread, right? All things in my body, when I need things to move, when I need muscles to do their work, right? Where's that reaction going to come? Water. So if I cut you up, you're not biltong, right? Everything is nice and moist. There's water, there's fluid everywhere to ensure that your body is going to work at tip-top, right, condition. Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick little break. Go and have a little break, stretch your legs, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, Life Sciences. I hope you had a nice break. I hope you had a glass of water, because you now know how important it is, and a little bit of a stretch just to get the blood flow. Right, just to remind you what we're looking at this concept of molecules of life. And basically it boils down to you are what you eat. Okay? We need to eat food so that we can build our bodies, and we need to drink water to be able to function properly. So things inside our body can work perfectly. Right, so now what we're going to concentrate on is the next section of work is called minerals. Right, lots of you might use the word nutrients. What it is not is a vitamin. Please make sure that you can differentiate between the two. Minerals and vitamins are totally different things when it comes to, right, organic chemistry. Okay, guys, so let's have a look. All right, at the different kinds of minerals. What a mineral is, it's found in our environment, it's found naturally in the earth, and it's also found naturally in the foods that we're going to make. Remember, foods all come down from, right, raw products, and we keep those minerals in those raw products. Now, just two words that I want to, all right, I'm going to highlight. I have highlighted in red here, but I want to explain to you something. Is this word macro mineral and micro mineral. And basically what it means is quite simply, some of the things, macro means big, all right, or large. And that simply means that we're going to need these minerals in large amounts. Then some minerals, micro amounts. What does micro mean? It means small. Now don't be under the impression that because it says micro, that it means it's not important. It just means that we need it in smaller amounts in our diet. Okay, so now what we're going to do for the following slides, what you're going to see, I want you to have a look how I've set it out. We're going to look at the minerals that your body needs. And we're going to have a look, why do I need it? Remember what we're doing, building and functioning properly, all right? Building and functioning properly. So we're going to have a look at the minerals that you need. I'm going to show you a few pictures of the kinds of foods that you're going to find them in. I've stuck to the natural foods, right? I haven't put like cakes and chocolates and those kind of things in, right? I'm sticking to things that we find them natural. And then what happens, and unfortunately it happens a lot of the time, we don't eat properly. Right, we might not have access to it, we might not have the money to buy proper food, we might not like something. I'm afraid I don't like green vegetables, all right? But what happens is if we do not have, right, those minerals in the right amount, we have a deficiency disease, okay? What does a deficiency mean? Sometimes it's too little of something, but sometimes it also can mean too much. A deficiency means we don't have the right amount. Okay, so let's have a look and jump right in there to the first mineral. Okay, I wanted to get there. We go. We're going to go past the keywords. All right, we're going to have a look here. Right, the first one is calcium. Okay, It's Ca, and it's very important. It makes your bones and your teeth nice and strong. So calcium, right, is going to help to make your bones and teeth nice and strong. And as I can see, those of you, I hope you know, if you like milk, all right, milk's got lots of calcium. Those of you who like to eat cheeses and dairy products, cheeses and dairy products are my favorite thing. And then my least favorite thing to eat, but it's very healthy for you, is green vegetables. So I'm hoping that you're thinking to yourself, oh, all right, do I eat these? Okay, now these two over here, all right, so this is building that. Muscle contraction and nerve impulse. Right. What is a muscle? These are your muscles, right? These muscles inside us. Later on, you're going to see the different muscles. Muscles need a message from something called a nerve, right? And where do our nerves originate from? This brain of ours. Our brain is these nerve cells, okay? So I need calcium for my brain to work properly, and also for the cells, all right, the brain to send messages. A nerve cannot work without it being told what to do by the nerve, all right? So can you see the relationship? A nerve works, and then a muscle works. So those two need to be in coordination with each other in order for us to work properly. Okay, so if you thought about it, do you have milk, all right? Do you sometimes have dairy products, and do you have green vegetables? Sometimes vegetables is not something we always have easy access to. Okay, now as I said to you, a deficiency disease is when we don't have enough. Now, the picture that we have here, right, is a condition called rickets. Right, now, I want you to have a look at this little chap's legs. Okay, now, I want you to see, and when I say children, it's very important that we differentiate. A child is growing. A child needs these things to build. Now, imagine you don't get enough calcium that's making your bones strong. Bones need to be strong. If bones are not strong and I'm standing, putting weight on my legs, what am I going to do to the bones? They're going to bend, all right? Look here, all right? They're not going to form. So as soon as I put weight on it, all right, the little boy's legs, all right, they're going to bend, and he's going to look like that. So calcium, really important part of your diet. In adults, I don't know if you've seen that, usually in elderly women, you'll see the hunchback over there. Right, what happens when you're older is that when you get older, ladies go through a whole thing called menopause, but I'm not going to go into that. And basically, when we get older, all of a sudden, our body craves calcium, and it takes it from our bones. Right, and as soon as it takes the strengthening out of our bones, it makes our bones weak. And our spine keeps our back upright. And as soon as the bones become weak, we can't hold ourselves up, and we start to bend over, or we might break our bones much more easily. Okay, calcium, very important in your diet. Okay, the next one is salt. I think a lot of you have a lot of salt on your food. This is one where you can't have too little and you can't have too much. Right, salt is very important once again, right? When we say it regulates water balance, I think how many of you have had salt and vinegar chips, right? Or you've had slop chips with lots of vinegar and lots of salt. What's the first thing that you need? You want to have water because you're thirsty. And that's exactly what happens. Your body needs to know, I need to keep water in or I need to let water out. And the salt balance is going to tell you what to do. Have a look at the next two again. Aha. Muscles and nerves. Right? Muscles working, nerves telling them what to do. So salt is really important in your diet. But you guys will be amazed. You think that salt is just put on your food. Anytime you when you go and buy to shop, I want you to go and have a look at the food labels, all right? And I want you to have a look sodium. Your bread has got sodium. Nearly every single thing that you eat has got sodium. So it's not always necessary for you to put sodium on your food. Okay. Now, what happens here, all right, is when we don't have, usually a sodium, those of you will see, you might get a lot of cramps, okay? Sodium, if you have too little sodium, you have a lot of cramps, all right? And also, what happens if you have too much salt, you can have high blood pressure. And if you have high blood pressure, that means you could have a heart attack or you could have a stroke, and that means that maybe it could be bad for you. You could die. So you've got to really watch your salt intake. Okay. All right, as I said, cramps, if you've had too little. I put here a soccer player in. I'm sure lots of you have watched soccer games. All of a sudden, all right, the guy falls to the floor and he's holding, and his teammates come and they stretch his legs. Right, very often cramps, right, can be caused by too little salt. Right, so as I said, too much a bad thing and too little also a bad thing. It's the kind of thing where you've got to get just right. Okay, guys, the next thing is phosphorus. Very often we're going to see when we talk about this in the next coming sections, we're going to use the word phosphate more than we are going to use phosphorate. All right, now this is quite an important section for when we look at the cell. All right, so let's see. Builds bone and teeth. Yes, you can see, once again, building. All right, now there's another component. All cells have a cell membrane that keeps everything in, all right? That cell membrane is made up of lipids, fats, and phosphates, phosphorus. So when we do the cell, we're going to look very specially at that. Okay, now the next one. What else do we need phosphate for? We might use this, all right, more next when you do cellular respiration. What is ATP? ATP means energy. It stands for adenosine triphosphate, all right? And it just means that your energy that you use, all right, has got 3 phosphate molecules in it. That's what it means, all right? 3 phosphate molecules. Then the last one, you're going to look at it much later on, right, when you look at genetics. DNA and RNA are your genetic material. And when we look at the structure much later on, right, you're going to see that phosphate forms part of your DNA, all right? So remember I said, what are we doing? We're building, all right? We're building, and this is what it helps to do. We help to build. Okay, all right. Guys, deficiency disease, because it helps with the bones, all right? Again, osteoporosis, and also abnormal nerve function, maybe cramps, again, all right, maybe little twitches, little ticks, all of those things that are going to happen, all right, if we don't have enough for our muscles and our nerves. Okay, guys, the next one is potassium, right? We do it with a K. Now, potassium is the most important iron in the body, right? Although we don't always hear about it, things need to be balanced, and this is one of the important things. But let's have a look at what it does. Here, look at relaxing of muscles. Once again, we've got muscles, we've got nerve, so the brain and everything working, and water balance. I'm hoping you have an understanding already how important it is. The brain works properly, the muscles work properly, and our water balance, all right? What we need to keep in and what we need to get rid of. Our body, it's very important that we have that fine-tuning down pat. Okay, here, irregular heartbeat, right? So the muscles, remember, your heart is a muscle, right? And if we don't have potassium, your heart needs to beat in a rhythm, all right? A nice, steady rhythm. What happens if you don't have enough potassium? Your heartbeat might not be as it should. It might not be, it's not the end of the world, but it could indicate a problem that could happen later. Okay, have a look. I want to go back quickly. All right, and it's one of the things that a lot of us, all right, don't eat enough of. Once again, green vegetables and fruit, specifically bananas, all right, bananas. So if you love bananas, all right, a really good form of potassium for you. So lots of fruit. Try and get fruit in your diet if you can, all right. Okay, the next one is nitrogen. And when we look at the Earth's gases, 78% of the Earth's gases is nitrogen. But we cannot breathe in nitrogen. But nitrogen is essential to build substances and structures in our body. We really need to have nitrogen in our diet, right? But we can't breathe in nitrogen, we eat it. And what happens is we eat it in a form called nitrates, right? Nitrates. And what happens, how we get nitrates is bacteria, right? Things in the soil and the air that are able to convert nitrogen to nitrates. And the plants, they absorb it, and we nibble on plants, or the cows or animals nibble on the plants, and then we eat the cows, all right, and the chicken and the lamb, etc. So that's how we're going to get nitrogen in. It's a very important structural building, right? It's really important for the building of our body. Okay, we're going to learn about proteins later, and that is organic, and we need proteins in our diet, right, because they build. It's a difficult concept to say now. We're going to look at it later on when we look at proteins, but you need to understand proteins are your muscles. It's your hair, it's your nails, it's in your blood. It's what's going to make this coronavirus. Proteins are essential in helping us to fight it. Right, antibodies are proteins. That's what the vaccine has given us, right? Is these abilities to make proteins. So proteins are really important for us. Okay, guys, so when we look at the cell, right, we're going to look at the cell, and everything in it is living. Proteins make a cell living, right? Proteins also form our hormones and our enzymes. What are hormones? When I grow, hormones tell me when to grow. All right, if I'm a male or a female, it tells me this is what you must grow, this is what must develop, all of these things. When I eat sugar, all right, and what must I do? The sugar mustn't say, I must have a hormone called insulin that converts it. But those are all things we're going to look at later. But it's a really important part of our diet. And proteins is probably the one, all right, food in our country where people don't have enough of, because pretty much it is too expensive. Here we go. Meat, legumes, right? These are legumes. What are legumes? They are peas and beans, right? But a lot of soya. Soya is a really, all right, it's a good substitute, it's plant-based, and it's a good source of protein if we can't have, because meat is expensive. Okay, meat is expensive. All right, guys, I want you to have a look at the deficiency disease. It is called Kwashiorkor. Okay. Now, Kwashiorkor is when we have a lack of nitrogen. It's not a lack of food, it's a lack of proteins in our diet. So a lot of people, we have a staple food, right? In our country, our staple food is maize. So we have a lot of millipap. All right, those kind of things. But we might not have a lot of protein. So we're getting food, right, but we're not getting the right type of food. Now let's have a look characteristic of it. Okay, we often think if we look at these little boys that their tummy, that they're too full. Definitely not. All right, so what happens is that we have a look at this tummy, that it fills with fluid. All right, and it distends out, goes big. So what happens is that the liver enlarges and the tummy bloats out and it fills with fluid. And you'll see they've got very skinny arms and very skinny legs. Muscle, proteins build muscle. Also sometimes you'll see people who have dark color hair, black hair, it changes to an orange. Why? What gives the hair the color? A protein called keratin. Right, so it's malnutrition. These children do not have the right kind of foods, and that's, everybody says, oh, they're fat. They're not fat, right? They are not healthy at all. That is not healthy for them. They're tired. They don't have a lot of energy, all right? They're very weak muscles, and it's not healthy for little ones, all right? So we need to make sure that they get nitrogen in their diet. Okay, guys, now we're looking at micro. Right, things that we need in very small amounts in our diet. As I said, small does not necessarily mean unimportant. Small just means we need it in small doses to be as healthy as we can be. Okay, now the first one is called iodine, and I want you to picture over here, right by your throat over here, you've got a gland, right? It's called an endocrine gland, and it's going to secrete hormones. And it secretes a hormone over here called thyroxine. Right, so you've got, here it goes, this is what the gland looks like. And from that, imagine a hormone, right? Imagine squirting out into your blood, and it goes into your blood, and hormones do things. This is called, it controls how fast or how slow your body works. So your body needs to work. It's like a car going, all right? You've got the food that you give, gives you energy, and some of us are a little bit slow because we don't work, we might be tired, and some of us have too much energy, all right, and we spend too much energy. We also, again, want to have a healthy thing. So this hormone keeps our body, right, how we function on a level. Now, if we have too little of it, right, have a look over here. This is called a goiter. And remember where the thyroid is? That gland swells up like that. Doesn't look very nice, does it? All right. So it swells up and it doesn't look very nice at all. But I want to show you something. Let me just go, sorry, next one over here. Oh, we're going over there. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay, we get there. Iodine is found in salt. Right. And in our country, all of our salt has already got iodine in it. So we already say that most of our salt, so we don't really have to have extra salt to it. So it's not something we always have to worry about, but we still got to notice. Now I want you to notice this little child over here. All right. You can see already from the facial features that this child is not normal. All right. When you are developing, your body needs to work. It needs to work in order to grow. What must grow? The brain needs to grow. The brain needs to function. So if this gland is not telling my body to grow, it's not telling my brain, all right, that it must work, then my brain doesn't develop, right? It's called cretinism, right? Cretinism in children, right? In adults, we have a goiter over here, cretinism in children, right? And obviously you can see they do not function very well. They might show retardation. They're quite slow, right? So it's very important to get iodine into the diet from a very young age. Okay, guys, the last one that we're looking at now is going to be iron, and this is one that you have to be careful about. If you have too much of it, it can be really bad for you. It's a micronutrient, so we need just a little bit. Where do I find it? Okay, in liver. I don't know if any of you like liver. Maybe you like chicken livers. All right, that would be really good. Spinach is really this green spinach. In meats, in those of you who like nuts and raisins. Why is it so important? Inside your body, you have got red blood cells, okay? And they look like that. And inside the red blood cell, you've got an iron thing, right? Pigments, an iron substance. It sounds really, here we go. I'm going to use this instead of me writing it. It's called hemoglobin, okay? And what happens when we breathe in? Oxygen and hemoglobin are friends for life. So when we breathe in, all right, oxygen goes into our body and it goes into our red blood cells. The iron takes it in. So if I do not have enough iron, right, then my red blood cells can't pick up oxygen. So can you imagine? Look here. You are tired. You are dizzy. You don't have a lot of energy. You probably have a lot of headaches. Remember, I need oxygen to let my body go. So if I don't have that oxygen, I'm going to feel very sluggish. It's called anemia, all right? Anemia is the term we use for somebody who has a lack of iron. Now, out of all these deficiencies that we've looked at, that is probably the most common one, all right, is going to be a lack of iron. Because our body we don't have enough enough of a healthy diet for us to be able to take iron in. Okay guys, it's time for another stretch, it's time for another break, and we'll see you just after this. Welcome back from your break. Now that you had a look at the minerals, did you maybe go and make yourself a snack and have a glass of water, because you know what keeps you healthy? Right, remember what we're looking at? We're looking at molecules of life. What do I need to eat to keep me healthy and to make sure that everything I need in my body is built the way it's supposed to? Okay guys, now we're going to look at just a couple of questions that we can ask on this section. It's not always a section that the questions come quite easily. Right, so we tend to ask more questions on the other sections, but let's just go through a few of the questions with you. Right, our first question is a simple, multiple choice question, and I put a bit of I won't say a trick question, but the question is organic compounds, all right, not inorganic. Right, and then we said in the beginning, what are organic compounds? Now, do they sometimes have carbon, but always oxygen? Right, always carbon, but sometimes nitrogen, never hydrogen and oxygen, usually hydrogen and always carbon. All right, organic compounds always, right, have carbon. Right, that's what they do. An organic compound always has carbon. We're going to look at organic compounds, our proteins, our carbon, our carbohydrates, our fats, our vitamins, nucleic acid. All of them are made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and then sometimes other little bits there. So number B would be your answer. Okay, next question, we've just done it, iodine, right? And the question is, why do we need it? Number A, to assist with the clotting of blood. No, that wasn't it. Control the water balance of the body. Lots of the nutrients did. But this wasn't the function. Remember, iodine is that hormone over your throat, that gland over your throat, not that. Prevent muscular cramps, lots of them, yes, right, but not iodine. Produce the hormone thyroxine. Remember, for the thyroid gland, so your answer here would be number D, or letter D. Right, similar question on this one. You obviously now will need to know why iron is required in the human body. And again, you need to know the functions of iron, what I need it, and remember it was for hemoglobin, that red blood cell. So we're looking for the word oxygen. Okay, so does it build up bone and teeth? Other ones did, this one didn't. Function in muscular contraction? Other ones did. I don't see the word oxygen there. What do I next one? Form a part of the oxygen-carrying molecule in blood. That looks like it could be correct. And the last one, assists in the normal functioning of the thyroid gland. No. All right. So that would mean that number C is our correct answer. Okay, guys. Our next question, I think, could be a common question that we're going to ask on this. And as I said to you earlier, go and have a look at your food labels. Okay, so I'm going to show you, have a look here. Oops, I go there. I'm going to show you two food labels. I don't know, some of you might like to eat it, some of you might not. On the back of the Oat So Easy, all right, box, there's this. It tells you, and some of these words should start jumping out at you, okay? It tells you, what do I find in the box? So this is the Jungle Oats, okay? And this is the milk one. Exactly the same. Can you see over here? It's got a whole list of minerals, nutrients, inorganic and organic things that are found in our milk, all right? So you've got Jungle Oats, and you've got milk. Now we're going to ask you some questions. You've got to read the food label. This is quite cool because the answer is pretty much there for you. Okay. Okay, now our question is, we've got to list 4 minerals. And that's important that we've only done minerals today, but we're going to do other things later and we might get it confused. In the oats and the milk. Okay, so let's have a look. First we're going to look at the oats and we're looking for minerals, inorganic nutrients. Okay, so we go down, sodium, we write sodium, there's 1. I go down, vitamins not. I see calcium, there's 2. I see iron, which is a micronutrient, 3. Potassium, 4. And I found my 4 just on my oats, so easy. But just in case, what do? I go and I check over here by my milk. And what do I see? Iron, I've already got. And calcium, I've already got. And sodium, I've already got. So I've ticked all 4 of my boxes. And now I can go on to the next question. Okay, the question is, if the person was suffering from anemia, right, anemia, I'm going to give you a hint, it's a lack of iron. Which of the 2 foods would you suggest they eat? Give a reason for your answer. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for the box with the most, right? The food label with the most iron. Right, so let's have a look over here. Here, iron, we have 8 milligrams, right? 8 milligrams in this particular serving. And if we have milk, oh dear, all right, we don't have any iron at all. Right, so if we have to go back, let's go back, and we answer our question. The question would be the oats. And what would your reason be? It has the most or more iron out of the 2, okay? So if we want anemic, we're looking for iron, and our oats gave us that question. Okay, guys, next question. All right. You have just broken your arm, and you want to help it heal, okay? So arm, let's think bones. That's where we're going to, bones. Which of the 2 foods, again, should you have more of? So we're looking for something that's going to build bones. So let's have a look at our label, and we look at here and we go, oh, go check my notes, and I see, oh, calcium. That builds bones, okay? So my oats, I've got 260 milligrams in my oats. All right, let's go and check my milk. So I go and check my milk, and here I see not the same amount, but what I'm going to look at, my calcium here is 30% of the milk. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go, oh, look here, my calcium is only 20%. So I can't use that. I'm going to use the 20%. So which one had the most? So let's go back, all right? Calcium was what I needed. And which one had more? The milk. Milk had more. So I need to drink more milk for my bones to be nice and healthy. Okay, guys, if we have a look, that is the last question for today. I hope you guys now understand what you are eating, why you are eating, and make sure you make good choices. That's from all of us here today. We say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.